What's up, Discord? What's up, YouTube? Welcome back to another weekly outlook. All right, so it is now April, right? We are in the second quarter of the year. So, hopefully the first quarter was good for you guys. Hopefully, you guys had a profitable first quarter, right? I know markets are not as clean as we want them to be. Kind of seeing a lot of things set up, and we're going to talk about that. We're going to get into that. Wishing that markets get cleaner as we go. Okay, so most of these markets haven't given us their directions yet. We're seeing a lot of markets take off, and we're gonna talk about it more as we get into it, right? But there are still opportunities in the market. There are still opportunities to trade. Okay, so keep your eye out, be positive, and second quarter. Let's get into it. All right, so excuse me about that, but so we're gonna get straight into it. All right, I wanted to talk about something, but I forgot about it. So if it comes up in my head, we'll talk about it. I really don't know what I was gonna say, but we'll just get straight into the market outlook. All right, so we're gonna be covering like a couple of markets. I'm gonna be telling you my outlook. I'm gonna tell you my overall outlook on the market. So I'm gonna kind of try to like to break it down for you guys so you see exactly what I'm looking at and what I mean. Because some of these markets they can look very difficult, but I gotta kind of zoom out because it's looking like most of these markets are going to higher time frame supply areas. So we're gonna have to zoom out a little bit more to look at the higher time frames and stuff like that. All right, so we're gonna start off with DXY as usual. Looking at DXY right now, we're seeing a series of reaccumulations. Now, if you don't know what reaccumulation is, for the people that's watching on the YouTube, reaccumulation is simply banks, institutions rebuying the market, right? We have accumulation, which means banks, buyers, institutions are buying the market. They're placing orders, buy orders at a certain area, and reaccumulation is just doing it again. Okay, so essentially you have accumulation down here, then we have reaccumulation, reaccumulation, reaccumulation. It looks like we're going to have another reaccumulation. All right, so when we're seeing reaccumulations like this, just know buyers are in control of the market. And one thing you have to notice is how all of these reaccumulations are holding, right? We're not invalidating any of these reaccumulations, meaning buyers are in control of the market. Now, for me to indicate that buyers are not in control of the market or sellers has stepped into the market, I need to see something like this. Boom. Market comes down, we break this low. That's telling me there's some sellers that got into the market. Now, this will look like a distribution, okay? All we need now is the market to come back up, mitigate whatever the orders that these sellers got into, continue down. This will be a distribution, and now we can attack here, here. So now, essentially what this does for us, seeing this distribution up here, tells us that some type of seller, right, big bank, institutions, whatever, got into the market here, and now we're looking to challenge these buyers. Okay, so when you're looking at supply and demand, look at it as like a buyers versus sellers type of thing, because that's constantly what's going on in the market. Is buyers versus sellers. All right, obviously we can see right now buyers are completely in control. They're whooping the sellers. Yeah, they're in control of the market. Right, so we need to see if sellers are going to step up or buyers are going to continue controlling the market. All right, so that's kind of a little example for those of you who don't really get supply and demand like that. But like I was saying, buyers in control of the market. We're seeing another reaccumulation. So simply, this is on like a higher time frame scale that I'm showing you guys right now, like on an overall scale. Now, when I zoom in to kind of break it down and show you guys exactly how to play this lower time frame, you can see it's kind of like the same thing. All right, you're gonna see exactly the same thing. We have accumulation right here. We have reaccumulation, reaccumulation, and then we just had another reaccumulation on Friday. So you can kind of see higher time frame. Let me kind of zoom out. You can see higher time frame and then you can see lower time frame. So when you see something like this, you know that yes, buyers are in control of the market, and this kind of shows you guys how fractal these markets are. Whatever happens on the higher time frame can and will happen on the lower time frames. Okay, so remember, the market is fractal, so it's key to understand this supply and demand. All right, because you can see that could have been used to trade this little leg from last week. You see the market just boom go up, and it looks exactly the same thing as what we're just talking about, but on a lower time frame scale. Okay, let me kind of delete these real quick. All right, so essentially what I'm looking at right now is I'm looking at this latest reaccumulation. So this is our reaccumulation right here. Happened on Friday, I believe. Yeah, happened on Friday. So our latest reaccumulation that I'm looking at, what I want to see is we are now testing this area. So this is the sponsor candle / order block that created this drive up. So I want to see whether or not we're going to hold. If this market is going to accumulate here and we're going to see another drive up, or could we possibly invalidate this area? Invalidating this area would mean that we have potential sellers. Okay, meaning if we do invalidate this area, I'm going to wait for this pullback, come back up, maybe look for you're going to see some type of lower time frame mitigation or whatever. The market continue down. That will be our distribution, meaning some type of seller got into here. That doesn't mean the market is bearish now. Now, what we know, if we do invalidate this area, we're going to come back to test this huge manipulation, whether it be this small area or we could come back all the way to the extreme. We don't know. But the thing that we do know, and that's why I marked this area out, is because if we do invalidate this little area, I know we're going to come back into like this whole down move right here. This whole little area, that's where I know we're going to come into. Whether or not we're going to mitigate exactly here or all the way back down here, we don't know. All that we need to know is if we do take out this little area, we're going to see some type of pullback inside of this area. Okay, that's all we need to understand, because as we get into that, that takes us into EU, because we know that EU and DXY is inversely correlated. So DXY going up, EU going down. All right, now looking at EU, it kind of looks different from what we see what DXY has been doing. DXY has been cleaner, I would say. DXY has been cleaner. You can kind of see these distributions going. I removed that. Sorry. You can kind of see these distributions that's been going down. Right. We have another potential distribution that's happening right now with this 3-drive move up, and then we're invalidating demand. We had accumulation down here. The market tried to accumulate. Instead, it got invalidated, continued down. That's cool. All right. So essentially, it was looking to play out of this redistribution. Didn't get that. Market didn't go all the way back up there. So now we're seeing another possible redistribution here. So we know that some type of banks, institutions got inside this area here. And I'm looking at this 15-minute doji candle. We have some imbalance up here. This is what rated this high. So essentially, this is where I'm going to look for us to come into for a sell. Okay. Now, on the contrary, on the opposite hand, I do have another area that I'm looking at. I think, yeah, it's this 30-minute doji candle. Now, essentially, I usually like to look for, the most sponsor, the most clean, how do I say it? Most volume candle. But I didn't feel like, going through all those time frames right now, and I wanted to just kind of show you guys the area that I'm looking at. Maybe when I have the spare time, I'll go back and look for the exact clean and volume, the best looking candles. But right now, I just wanted to kind of highlight the area for you guys. All right. So we have this 30-minute doji candle here that I'm potentially looking for something in. Essentially what I want to see if we can take out this high. I want to see if we can take out this high. If we can, if we get a pullback down and then maybe we get a lower time frame accumulation during the right time, we'll take a buy here and target here, and then we'll look for a sell in this area to go back down. All right, that's how I'll play this. Now, the only way I'll play this is if we come down here first. Now, if we do continue towards the upside, then I'm just gonna take the sell and just write it down without even looking for that buy. All right. So what you need to understand is in both these areas, we are looking for lower time frame confirmations because these are not, really high probable areas. The reason why I say that is because we have imbalance over here. We could come fill and we could come back to this area. All right. So these are not areas to look for limit orders. Okay. So that is EU. Now GU. First thing I want to start off by saying, I'm gonna give this to you guys. 63 minute candle right here. All right. So this is one of the pairs that I took my time to find this candle on. This is a 63-minute candle. I have the 50% marked out, and then I have this other area marked out. I believe it's on the 5-minute. Yeah, so I have this 5-minute candle right here that I set an entry on. Okay, so this is something that I set a limit order on. Now, I was hoping that we just come right back into it, but we didn't, which is cool. I'm not really worried about that, but now I know I have two types of areas. All right. So this area up here, it is my extreme. So this is my extreme entry. If you guys want to look at it, this is where I have a limit order there. I'm just going to leave that there. And this right here is my slingshot decisional point of interest, meaning if the market comes up here, we get a distribution, I'll take a distribution from here. But we also have to take in fact that we could invalidate this area, right? Maybe get a pullback and come all the way back up here and then sell down. Why? Because this whole thing is one leg down. Or you can kind of see it. I mean, this whole thing is one leg down, to be honest. But this is where the sellers originated from. Basically, this is where we have our I forgot the exact word for it. This is our origin. This is our origin. This is where we got that distribution, and it's not mitigated yet. Well, exactly what I'm looking for is not mitigated. So this is where I'm going to look for that limit order, and then in here I'm going to look for a lower time frame entry. All right, so that is GU. GU is pretty simple. We're either going to sell from here or we're going to come back up into our origin. AU, I'm kind of not looking at AU right now. AU is kind of ugly to me, so I'm just going to leave AU alone. USDJPY, same thing. I mean, this is just taken off. It's never given entry since. All right, so I will say I did try to catch an entry right here, right there, and I regret not taking that entry a lot. I regret not taking that. So I'm kind of delete all this, but that's pretty much everything for UJ. I mean, we're just bullish. I can see us doing something else. The only way I'd really trade UJ is we have to take out this high. As soon as we take out that high, I'll look for a reaccumulation entry, boom, something like that. I mean, that's pretty much all you can do on UJ. You can't really do nothing else. I don't see anywhere else for mitigations or anything like that. So kind of gonna leave that alone. Now looking at GJ, right? So I was trying to see if we could possibly sell from this area on GJ. Main reason being, even though I know we're super bullish, insane, right? So even though I know we're bullish, you're probably wondering why am I looking for a sell. Main reason I'm looking for a sell is because, I mean, we had this very huge impulsive move towards the downside, and we invalidated multiple areas of demand. First area here, invalidated, right? And then we invalidated this low. So essentially, this high down here, boom, invalidate this. So now we see some type of sell again in the market. Because of that, we also have a redistribution right here. Okay, so we have this sponsor candle right here. We have this order block. So essentially, I was going to look for some type of sell inside this area. Now, I was hoping that this area was going to be way cleaner than it was. As soon as we got in here, we just started doing this BS. So since then, I just have not been looking at it. I mean, I've been looking at it from here and there, but we haven't done anything. We haven't moved. We haven't shown no sign of weakness. Another reason why I'm even looking for a sell here is because of the amount of liquidity that we just have sitting under here as well. So that's another reason. I'm gonna continue watching it. If we do end up invalidating, like maybe we get something like this, invalidate this area, I'll just look for a buy instead towards the upside. But until then, I'm just gonna wait to see exactly what the market wants to do. We can kind of see that there is some type of, you know, interaction going on here between buyers and sellers, because if there wasn't, the market would just flew through this. So we kind of see some interaction going on, but we haven't gotten a certain direction yet. Now, UJ kind of disappointed me, I'll be honest with you. I was expecting us to have a great reaction from this distribution right here. All right, so this is one thing that I was talking about with these pairs, that, you know, they haven't really established a direction yet. But if we kind of zoom out on, did I say UJ? I meant your GPP. But this is kind of one of the pairs I was talking about. We have this clean bearishness going down. Now we recently invalid this high, which is hold on. See, I didn't even update this. But we recently invalidated this high, which broke our structure. Yeah, this broke our lower time frame structure. Where is it at? So after breaking our structure on lower time frame, we go to higher time frame. Looking at this, we can see we have a distribution, right? We have a distribution. So a higher time frame is bearish, lower time frame was bearish, and I'm really hoping that we do go back to being bearish, because I don't want to buy this. So right now, what I'm going to do, since we did break this high, it's only right that we potentially, let me move this, potentially look for a buy inside of this area. Since this is the origin, you can count this as the reaccumulation. Market continues up. So this is low, this is high. This right here is the continuation move. So essentially, I would look for a buy here if we get some type of, you know, cleaned lower time frame entry. I'm not gonna set a limit order there. If it was any other market, I would have, but I'm not gonna set a limit order there. Mainly being is because we are just so bearish on UJ. Well, you're a JPB. I'm sorry for saying UJ, but it's just I don't trust this. Simple as that. I just don't trust it. I feel like the banks are trying to pull a fast one on us, and I just don't trust it. So if we do come down here, and let's say we get like a come down here, we get several drives, we see some huge bullish move, come back down, we look for a mitigation somewhere here, and then we buy until we see that the market doesn't want to buy no more. So that's the only way I'll buy it. I'm not gonna buy it from here. I just don't trust this market right now. Essentially, I really don't. Another reason being why I don't trust it. I was looking for an accumulation here. I mean, the market was showing a clean accumulation inside of this other accumulation, which was right here. So, you know, that was my last kind of entry that I was looking for. Market ended up breaking through that. Boom. Market went back up, took out this high, went back down, broke this, and now it looks like we're going to come back up. You see what I'm saying? So it's just, I don't want to deal with that. I don't want to deal with that. So after dealing with that all last week, I'm just going to wait for this market to figure out what it wants to do. All right. So now we're looking at Cad CHF. Now, Cad J is another one of those that's just insanely bullish, right? It's crazy. But I also remember, I don't know which weekly outlook it was, but I did talk about this area here. I did. It won't let me go down that far. Oh, that's cool. Let me see. I did talk about this area right here. maybe 1 hour, 20 minute. Oh, wow. We're gonna try this one more time. It should let me get 30 minutes. There's no reason why TradingView should not let me get 30 minutes. Oh, that's crazy. All right, we'll just we'll stick to the 1 hour since that's what it wants. We'll stick to the 1 hour, guys. All right, so for you guys to see where I got this 50% right here, it's from here, okay? Essentially, we have a redistribution going on. We have a distribution entirely here inside of a higher time frame distribution. Let me zoom out a little bit so you guys can see it. Boom, here we go. So if you're questioning if this distribution accumulation thing works, you know, this Wyckoff thing works, it does. Trust me, it does. All right. So we have a higher time frame distribution. So essentially, this is a supply area, but you can kind of see that we have a fractal distribution right here, and inside of that we have a redistribution. Okay. Right here. So essentially, this was the last area that needed to be mitigated out of this kind of supply zone. So what I did was I measured the fib. I put 50% in the open of it, and that's where I got those two lines from, and you can kind of see where we got that reaction from. So essentially, we went all the way up, got a reaction here, and now the market has kind of went down a little bit. I was looking for entries. Now, trust me, I was looking for entries on Cad Chf. Just never came back down, man. Just never came back down. I had some orders looking at right here, never came back down to give me that. Even right here, I was looking for this to dip back down some more, did not come back down into there. I was even looking for something in here, just didn't. So now I'm just gonna let this market do its thing. I'm just gonna wait, see if it can give me another kind of maybe we can get something like this, a reaccumulation, or you know, some type of continuation move that we could look for an entry out of. Maybe we could see something like this, right? Maybe we could see market goes up, range, we see some Asian session maybe, or some liquidity be created, whatever the case may be, just something that we could play off of. Manipulation down, take out some liquidity, boom, break this high, boom, we play out of the order block or the sponsor candle. I like saying sponsor candle, but we play out of the sponsor candle here and then continue up. That's the only way that I see myself trading CAD, unless we come all the way back down into this area. But I don't see the market being that nice. So we're just gonna have to kind of deal with what we got. All right, deal with what we got. The markets are never that nice, guys. All right, the market's not our friend. Remember that. The market is not our friend. Okay, so now Cad Chf is a lot more cleaner. Well, I hope it becomes a lot more cleaner. We have this distribution that's going on here. You guys kind of see the basis of how I look at these markets. Is really on a supply and demand, accumulation, distribution. Where are the orders at? Where are the buyers at? Where are the sellers at? That's kind of how I look at the market. If you really want to just kind of understand how I just look at this and how I can determine what areas we're going to react off, what areas we're not going to react off. Now, we missed this 50% by like just a little bit, but you can kind of see like the precision that I go behind how I look at these markets, right? But looking at this on a higher time frame, right, we can see that the market is trying to reaccumulate back towards the upside. Main reason why I know this is this distribution right here failed to break this low. All right, since we did that, you can see that we invalidated this. Once we invalidate this distribution, that means buyers are active in the market. So you can kind of see this whole thing here is like a higher time frame reaccumulation. Right now, for you guys who don't understand this, I'm sorry. I believe I talked about reaccumulation distribution on this channel before, but I'm pretty sure everyone in Discord should understand what I'm saying right now, right? The reaccumulation is just a continuation move. Reaccumulation means there's some type of buyer, there's some type of bank institution that just bought the market again, right? It's not the origin, it's the continuation move. It's very simple. So now what I was trying to say was, looking at this area, right, on a higher time frame basis, when we were just looking at it, we can see that this whole thing is a reaccumulation. But zooming into it, we can kind of identify what happened inside of this. All right, for those of you that are in the Discord and you have the eyes that you can identify these things, we can kind of just go into this and see what happened. We have accumulation, boom, another accumulation that mitigated this previous accumulation. Pretty clean, right? Cool. Now we have this area here that was mitigated here. We can kind of see another lower time frame accumulation, right? Not surprised. Okay, another mitigation here, right? Probably if we're going lower time frame, we'll see another accumulation. We don't know. Boom. So after we get this series of accumulations, okay, what do we go into? Reaccumulation. Why? Because accumulation is the start of the trend. Okay, going back to market cycle, it always starts with accumulation. We don't start our market cycle with reaccumulation. So we don't never start structure from here. We start structure from here because this is the origin. This is where banks got into the market. So if you ever want to understand why I always talk about accumulation or reaccumulation, is because market cycle. I always try to look at the market cycle first. What is the market cycle? So essentially what we can see here, and let me kind of explain this in a way that you guys can understand this even more. We can see a series of distributions, right? Distribution. Let's say this was a mitigation of this distribution. Cool. What does that mean? Sellers are in control of the market. When you're seeing a series of distributions, sellers are in control of the market. So essentially inside of this is a redistribution, which is a continuation move. We can see another kind of distribution here. We can see a distribution, redistribution. Okay, cool. Now this is pure market cycle. Let me kind of zoom into that for you guys so it's very simple. And let me delete this as well. So we have distribution, redistribution. This is another redistribution here. Now, once the market starts going down and it gets to an area where these sellers do not want to sell the market because at a slow price, we have buyers that come into the market. Accumulation. Okay, so accumulation represents the changing of hands. So essentially what happened is we went from sellers to buyers. From sellers to buyers. Distribution represents the changing of hands, going from buyers to sellers. So essentially this is where we had that transition. That's why it's called accumulation. It's because this is where we had that transition. We had that transition from sellers into buyers. So this here, this is our origin. This is where we had that transition from sellers to buyers. So this is the point. This is the origin. This is where the accumulation is, right? Anything after that is reaccumulation. All of this is continuation move because this is where it happened. Okay, so that's why sometimes you'll see the market take out all of these reaccumulations and go back down to just the accumulation because this is where it all started. And then you'll have something like that, right? That's where it all started. That's where the market's going to go to. So that's why I only look for confirmation entries inside of the, let me delete it. So that's why I only look for confirmation entries inside of these areas. So let's say we had a sponsored candle or order block here. I'm going to look for a confirmation entry, a lower time frame entry. Reason being is because this is not as big as this. This is not what started this whole trend. This is this point, this accumulation, whatever this is, whatever happened here is what started. This is where that transition happened. So this is where most of the buyers got into the market, if you understand what I'm saying. All right, so we're gonna have accumulation, reaccumulation, reaccumulation, reaccumulation until we get a distribution, until we get to a point where buyers don't want to buy it no more. That's when you're gonna see invalidated, 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 invalidated. So once these sellers reach back into this area, that's when they're going to meet the buyers again, and you're going to see the market go back up. All right. Let me delete this. Hopefully you guys, understand that little diagram. I feel like that was a lot cleaner. I should do that way more. That's the first time I just thought about it right now. So, I mean, it's pretty clean. I'm gonna try to do it more. But that's essentially what happened here. This is the origin of where the buyers got into the market. So, we see the market accumulate, accumulation on an accumulation, meaning more buyers got into the market, right? We go up, reaccumulate here. This whole thing is a reaccumulation for those guys who know, right? We have a creek, so this whole thing is a reaccumulation. But why didn't this accumulation hold? Why? Distribution, right? We have a distribution, which means sellers got into the market at this area. But look what we did. We took out this distribution. So yes, sellers sold here. Yes, we got out the market here, but we still invalidated this high, meaning these buyers here were strong enough to carry the market to take out these sellers. These sellers was holding the market down, because remember, this is the last leg down. You can see this is our last structure down, right? I think these red things are kind of blurring it up, but for you guys can see, this is the last area right here. This is our structure point down. So this right here is essentially our high to low. But look, we have a series of accumulations that drove the market far enough. Even though we did get a distribution, we still were able to invalidate this high, meaning we broke structure. So now that we have broken structure, the market is going to target the origin of what caused the break of structure. So yes, this reaccumulation did break this high, but it wasn't the origin of this leg. It wasn't the origin. These were the origin. Essentially, now this is the origin because this is what mitigated this. So we have no need for this first accumulation since this second one came and mitigated here. So that's why we see the market come into here, right? That's why we see the market come back into here, because I know it looks like right here, boom, right there, but that wasn't the mitigation. We did not come inside this area right here. Now that you see that we mitigated, this market went up, boom, we mitigated the sellers here. You can see that went back down, boom, got another mitigation of this area, reaccumulation. Now, once we start going into the reaccumulations, that's when you can see the market move, right? Now, look what happened again, okay? Now, I know I'm getting a little bit deep into this. Let me kind of speed this up a little bit, okay? I should make a video about this just by itself. But let me kind of speed this up a little bit and show you why exactly I'm looking for what I'm looking for on Cad Chf. All right, so essentially we know this market is bullish. That's all we need to know. Buyers are in control of the market currently. But recently what I've seen are sellers. I'm seeing sellers get into the market. Reason being is because essentially this right here was a reaccumulation. All right. This right here is a demand zone. This right here is a demand zone. We have a sponsor candle / order block right here, which got invalidated. All right. And we broke this low. So meaning we invalidated this whole area. Okay. Once we break this low, this whole area means nothing. All right. We invalidated this, which means we took out anybody that was buying here. There's no type of demand here anymore. So because I seen that, I'm looking at the last area where I know some institutions got to the market, and it was up here, because this is what drove us down to break this. So now I know that there was some type of seller here. That's why I was looking for sales there. Okay. Now, essentially, we have another area, a lower time frame area, and it's this redistribution. All right. It's this little area right here that I was looking for sales. Now, I'm not sure if this area is going to hold or not. I mean, it was looking good Friday, right? It was looking good, but now it's just, I don't know. I want to see by maybe Monday if we can just get another drive down, break this low, then I'll look for an entry back down, and I'm going to target here because this still has not been mitigated. If you can see, this area has not been mitigated. So that's where I'm going to target, because I know that the market is bullish. Even though we're seeing sellers get into the market at this area, that doesn't take away from the fact that we have a series of just a whole bunch of buyers taking over. All right. Now I'll probably have to, go into this more and explain it more, because I know it's a lot of information. It's a lot to grasp when you're first looking at it. But I know in my mind, I understand it completely, but I know it could be very hard to, transition into these things and looking at the market this way. All right. I try to keep it as simple as possible. I feel like it's the terms itself that's confusing people. Just look at I'm sorry, I just got a message. But just look at the market as in just look at the market as buyers versus sellers. All right. So that's how I'm going to try to explain it from now on. Reaccumulation, buyers; redistribution, sellers; accumulation, buyers; distribution, sellers. All right. The difference between accumulation and reaccumulation: accumulation is the origin, reaccumulation is a continuation. It's the same thing for distribution. Distribution is the origin, and redistribution is a continuation. All right. Accumulation, buyers; distribution, sellers. All right, that's simple. So I think I have like a couple more markets, and then we'll talk about crypto. I want to talk about crypto a little bit. But for those of you who likes this information, right, that are soaking up this information, yeah, you're welcome, right? Because I usually just start blabbering, but it happens from time to time. But it is what it is at that point. So, USD Cad, right? I mean, just looking at this right now, I don't really want to get into it even more, man. I really want to talk about it to where you guys understand completely where I'm coming from. I'm gonna explain it just a little bit. I'm gonna try to, because this market looks better, so I'm gonna try to explain it just a little bit. I'm not gonna try to get into it, but speaking on market cycle, okay. So if you guys can kind of see what I'm talking about, right? Distribution, right? So let me kind of explain this. Okay. So this whole thing represents a leg, right? This whole thing represents a leg down. But what's happening inside this leg? So distribution. This distribution is the origin, meaning this is where sellers got into the market. And if you can kind of see, this distribution mitigated this distribution. All right. So that's something to look at. But this is the origin, meaning this is what we cannot break. If we break this high, which where the distribution started, this is where the sellers got into the market. All right. So this is where the sellers establish into the market. Boom. Go down. We have a redistribution. Instead of the sellers coming back here, they wanted to redistribute, meaning they sold again. All right. It's just a continuation move. All right. Just a continuation. Instead of going all the way back down to the origin, they saved it for later. All right. That's as simple as that. They save it for later. They redistribute. It's a continuation. Okay. Boom. Once we get that continuation move, the market goes down, we break structure. This is the origin. All right. This is our main area. But over here is still a supply area. This is a supply area. This is a supply area. But this supply area holds more weight than this one does, because this is what we can't break, because this is where it started. All right. So essentially, you can see what happened here. As the market went down, look what we did. We accumulated, right? We have an accumulation. And this is also for the Discord members as well, so you can kind of see what I be talking about. Not every accumulation, no matter how clean it is, not every accumulation, when you see an accumulation, it doesn't mean the market's just going to continue and just go. It doesn't happen that way. Understand why it's happening. That's why I said structure is important, guys. Structure is important. You can see that we're bearish, right? We're bearish. We're in a bearish leg. So this accumulation is only for us to set up a retracement. That's all the banks are using this is for. It's for a retracement. That's it, right? So as you can see, we have this clean accumulation here. Once you see that, you know that we're now going back into a pullback. Why are we going back into a pullback? To come test here or here. All right. So the first area that we came and tested was this redistribution. Look what happened. They tried to sell, right? Which means there were some type of sellers here. There was sellers here, tried to sell, ended up failing. Market continued up. This becomes a reaccumulation, right? So we have an accumulation, a reaccumulation, but the difference, you can see these two are the same, right? Distribution, redistribution, accumulation, reaccumulation. It's the same thing. The difference is this accumulation could not break this high. And that's why when we got here inside of this area, you can see the market just sold, right? You see the market just sold because this is a strong area. This is the origin. Now, if this accumulation was able to drive us high enough to break this, now we'd shift structure and now we'd look for a mitigation here or here. Okay, but this is where, okay? So now I'm going to leave that alone and I'm going to actually talk about the markets. All right. I'm going to leave that alone and talk about the markets. I'll save this for a video or whatever. Those of you who are watching, if you're, on the YouTube or Discord, if you want me to talk about this more, one-on-one session, whatever the case may be, let me know. We'll talk about it. All right. Back into it, right? We reactive off of supply zone. Now, we can kind of see this right here is a demand zone. So essentially what we're looking for, we're going to see if this area can hold. Now, if we are able to take out this, I will be looking for a sell right here. Okay, I'll be looking for a sell right here. Already had it marked out. So that's where I'm going to be looking for a sell from if we're able to take out this zone. If we are, I'm going to look for a sell here because this is our most recent area of supply. So that's how we're going to do that. The reason why I'm looking for a sell here is because, let me see. We just have liquidity sitting everywhere. We weren't able to take out these highs. We weren't able to take out that high. So I'm assuming that if we do come back and then we do them this, we're just going to take out this, take out that, come back in here and sell again. All right, that's how I see it. And that is if we're able to invalidate the amount of sellers that were here. I'm not sure if we'll be able to do that, but if we do, then good. If we don't, then we're going to look for a buy here. All right, so pretty simple. Let me get into like one of the simplest markets right now, which is USD Cad. All right, so tapped inside of a demand zone. Cool. We're seeing that the market is accumulating. We're seeing the change of hands happening, going from sellers to buyers. Cool. I'm looking for a buy here inside of this recent demand zone. If we end up filling this area, I'm gonna look for a sell here. Look for a sell up here. If we do that, I'm gonna look for a buy here, and then if we do not buy here, I'm gonna look for a buy down here, which is my last area. So recently we tapped into point of interest. We have a recent accumulation here. I was hoping to get a faster mitigation than the market just leaving, but that's cool. Now, if we end up coming down here, breaking this low, maybe get a pullback, sell from here, buy from here, and that'd be a perfect kind of like sell scalp. Now, be careful on looking for those scalps because sometimes those scalps can set you up. But what I would say, if we do break this low, if the market comes back up here, don't take a limit order from here. All right, wait for that lower time frame to confirm that it is going to sell from here because this could just be a reaccumulation. Reason why I'm saying that is because we have not shown any previous signs of weakness before this. So this could be a manipulation. All right, just be careful on that. But overall, my main area I'm gonna look for a buy from is here. Now, if this does become a reaccumulation, we're gonna look for a buy right here. Simple as that. And we're gonna drive it up, and the target is this high. I don't care about this distribution. This distribution doesn't mean anything, right? Why does not this distribution mean anything? Because this distribution did not break any structure. Didn't break this low, which is order flow, and we didn't even break that low. Well, I mean, we didn't even get that far. Essentially, all this distribution did was drive us down far enough to target an area of demand. That's it. So, it doesn't mean anything. All right, understand that. Cool. Now, getting into our crypto so we can wrap this up. Sorry if I was talking too much. I got kind of deep into that accumulation and reaccumulation, all that, all that mess. So I'm sorry about that. But Bitcoin is looking good. I like the little trend that we're doing right now. You know, I like the little order flow that we're going on right now, which is good. All right, so that's let me see. I'm kind of zoom out and show you guys. All right. Now, you know, I would be very, I'm sorry, but I'd be very, very just, I don't know. I just have to talk about it, guys. I have to talk about it. But if you know, briefly, accumulation, reaccumulation, distribution. I know I talk about it a lot, but it's so simple. When you look at this, it is so simple because, you know, even in the crypto markets, you can see this kind of thing happening, guys. Wyckoff. It is like, when you're looking, when you're trying to determine what supply and demand is, and you're trying to identify the correct areas to look for buys, to look for sells from: accumulation, reaccumulation, distribution. Okay, pure market cycle. You can see this leg from this low up here. So essentially, okay, this right here is our origin. You can see where we came back to, the origin. We came back into the origin. This is what started this whole thing. All right. Because as we're going down, right, this was a distribution, which means there were sellers here. Now we have sold. Market came back down here. Look what we did. We had the transfer of hands, which means we went from sellers into buyers. Going back into buyers, look what happens. Reaccumulation, which means buyers bought the market again. Drive up, break this high. Now we get to a high point. And especially talking about crypto, let's look at the price points. All right, and let me explain this to where you guys can understand this, like in a, just, you know, as a buyer or an investor. Okay, maybe this will kind of open you guys' eyes a little bit to see what I'm really talking about, maybe. But briefly gonna explain this, right? We're not even gonna talk about Wyckoff or whatever. Let's look at the price points. All right, so Bitcoin was at its all-time highs at $64,000. All right, $64,000. When you see Bitcoin that high, who is buying Bitcoin for $64,000? Not a lot of people. You have maybe banks or institutions that are willing to do that, but retail is not willing to buy Bitcoin that high at all. Okay, even I don't even think institutions are willing to buy Bitcoin that high, because this is all-time highs. Essentially, before this even happened, before we had this drive up, this was all-time highs. Nobody is gonna be brave enough to buy Bitcoin that high, knowing that it's all-time highs. You don't know how high it can get. So that's why we have a distribution, because now people are more willing to sell their Bitcoin because it's so high than to buy Bitcoin and accumulate more Bitcoin. So that's why you see this distribution. That's why distribution happened, because there's not a lot of supply. I mean, not supply, but there's not a lot of demand here. There's not a lot of people willing to buy the market here. Okay, that's why we sell. Once we sell, look where Bitcoin went to. What, 30,000? So we was at like 65,000, and now we're back down to what, 30,000? That's half the price. Just think about that. Bitcoin was at 60,000, right? And now it's back down to 30,000. Just think about that. Bitcoin was at 60,000 and now it's down to 30,000. That's half the price. That's like 50% off. Imagine how much people were willing to buy Bitcoin now. Okay, so people are not willing to buy it here, but people are willing to buy here. That's why we have an accumulation. That's why we have an accumulation. Okay, so because people are willing to buy Bitcoin here, that's why we have this accumulation, which means buyers got into the market here. Boom, buyers got into the market. They're like, cool, all right, Bitcoin's at 40,000. They're like, oh, I'm gonna buy Bitcoin again so I can target this high. right? So this is not the new target. Like, okay, if Bitcoin was at 60,000, it could reach 60,000 again, and then we're gonna take our profit. That's exactly what happened. Went back up here, we reached 68,000, 70,000. Now it restarts the whole same process. Not a lot of people are willing to buy Bitcoin at all-time highs, so they sell, right? Some buyers got into here, sold again. Now, guess what? It's probably going to be the same thing again. I'm hoping that it is, essentially. But I'm betting that it's going to be the same thing again, okay? So, essentially what I'm waiting for, honestly, I'm waiting for us to target this high. All right, I'm waiting for it to target this, right, not this high, but this POI. I want to see us get into this POI, and either we're going to come up here and distribute, or we could just surge, break this, and continue higher. Okay, and that's what I want to see. I want to see a surge through this. Once we do that, we're going to come up here. Okay, so that's essentially all I had. All right, I'm sorry if this was kind of long. I tried to give out some, knowledge for this because of, just wanted to talk a little bit. But that's the video. Sorry if this video was long. All right, I kind of rambled on a little bit, or whatever the case may be. All right, so for Discord members, I'll see you guys in the next video that I post. Right, and for YouTube, I'll see you guys in the next video as well. Peace out, and I'll see you guys. All right, peace.